Hello. So this video is on how to read a map. If your GPS is on the fritz and you need to know how to get from point A to point B without getting lost, there's no need to admit defeat by stopping and asking for directions. Just pull out your trusty map. And contrary to popular belief, it isn't particularly difficult to read a map. Once you understand what key markers like scale, longitude, and latitude, and topographical lines mean, you'll be able to travel just about anywhere with just a few quick calculations. So there's actually two parts to this. The first part is understanding the map layout. So in part one, you want to choose the right type of map. Different kinds of maps exist for different uses. Before you can use a map to help you find your way, you'll need to make sure you're equipped with one that's suitable for the type of traveling you're doing. For example, there are road maps to help drivers navigate back roads and interstate highways, topographical maps telling campers how to reach campsites and lodging areas, and even tourist maps highlighting famous landmarks for sightseers. Maps can be found just about anywhere, from gas stations to visiting centers to restaurants and popular attractions. And then, you got to check the map's orientation. Open up the map and take a moment to double check that you're examining it from the correct perspective. Most maps feature a compass rose in one corner that shows which directions are indicated by the various markers. Unless otherwise specified, the top of the map will always correspond with north. North is considered a neutral orientation, which provides a reference for the other directions. It can be used to help travelers get their bearings. 3. Refer to the legend, also called the map key, to make sense of the map. In addition to a compass rose, many maps also contain a legend or chart that explains the scientific methods used to draw up the map and lists what important symbols mean. Familiarizing yourself with the legend is the key to comprehending the way the map displays information. These elements are actually designed to educate travelers on how to interpret this and safely traverse their surroundings. 4. So part 1, make a note of the longitude and latitude. Longitude is a geographic coordinate that specifies the east-west position of the map on the Earth's surface relative to the prime meridian. Meridians of longitude run vertically from the North Pole to the South Pole. Parallels of longitude run parallel to the equator. Horizontally, and show distance north or south of the equator. The numbers at the sides or the top of the map track the degrees of longitude and latitude. Each degree represents 60 minutes, quote unquote, which describes fractions of a distance, not travel time. And 1 nautical mile, roughly 1.15 land miles. The equator and the prime meridian were chosen as handy reference points because they're located roughly in the center of the globe. If you're just making a trip to the next town over, longitude and latitude won't come into play. For long distance journeys, however, they'll be invaluable for coordinating your positions. And then the last part, pay attention to the scales. Map scales provides a ratio of map distance to actual distance. This will give you the idea of how far you have to go. The scale will differ from map to map, but it will typically be presented as a number ratio, like 1 to 100,000. This ratio simply means that 1 unit of distance on the map is equal to 100,000 units in real life. You'll usually be able to find the scale at the bottom or to one side of the map. Depending on the type of map you're using, the scale will be adjusted accordingly. For instance, an explorer map used for hiking, cycling, kayaking, and other short-range activities will have a scale of around 1 to 25,000, while the average driving map will be closer to 1 to 50,000. On a road map with a scale of 1 to 100,000, for example, 1 inch of space on the map will be equal to 1.578 miles. So that was it for part 1. And then part 2, using a map to get where you're going. First, you'll want to figure out where you are. If you're on the road, the simplest way to do this is to observe nearby street signs or highway markers and cross-reference them on the map. If you're stranded at some place with no way of telling where you are, try to match up what you see in real life with what you see on the map. From there, mark your position so you can get yourself pointed to the right direction. Some common features that can help you identify your location include outstanding natural features like rivers and mountains. One useful trick for establishing your whereabouts is to start with 2 landmarks within seeing distance and draw a straight line between them. The point where they intersect is your rough location, give or take a mile or 2. 2. Make sure the map is aligned correctly with your compass, assuming that you're using a compass to aid in navigation. It will be important to calibrate it so that it's correctly oriented with the immediate surroundings, taking into account possible variations in magnetic attraction. If abnormalities exist, they will ordinarily be noted somewhere on the legend. This step is sometimes known as the declination. It's a good idea to keep a compass in your vehicle or gear bag whenever you embark on an expedition where becoming lost is a distinct possibility. Nowadays, most smartphones have a compass app that are remarkably accurate and don't need to be connected to the internet to function. I think it would be a good idea for myself if it is included in, like, I have a car kit, if it's included in the car kit, because if for some reason I leave my house without my phone or something and I get lost, I have it. Or my boyfriend, for example, his phone doesn't have that capability because it's got the old flip phones. So next, pinpoint your destination. Circle the place where you want to end up on the map, and look at how much distance lies between your start and end points. Once you've done this, you can zoom in and identify which avenues will allow you to arrive at your destination in the shortest amount of time possible. Calculating the distance to scale will help you to track your movement more precisely. 4. Plot the course. From here, it's simply a matter of choosing which roads or paths you want to take to get from point A to point B. Keep in mind that the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. Consequently, it's usually best to stick to a direct route with a minimal number of branches or detours. Remember, interstate systems are most often laid out left to right and south to north, while city streets are arranged in a grid pattern for more effective navigation. One shortcoming of traditional maps is that they won't be able to alert you to road closings, construction work, renamed streets, and other potential obstacles. So, 5. Follow the selected route of your destination. Now that all the details have been worked out, you can focus on the journey itself. Roam confidently and watch the miles tick off, glancing back at the map as often as you need. Be careful not to deviate from your course unless you've figured out a different route in advance. The exact course you will take, largely by a matter of preference in most cases. You may be pushing it to get to your destination on time, while in others you might be traveling at a leisurely pace and want to make, the occasional stop to do some sightseeing. If you're traveling with someone else, assign the navigation duties to one person so there won't be any dispute or confusion over how to interpret the map. And finally, create checkpoints to keep yourself from losing your way. As you move along, keep track of your progress using a pencil or other writing utensil. Draw a dot, star, or some other symbol whenever you come to a notable landmark. That way, you'll be able to refer to the last checkpoint you passed around, and you should happen to get turned around. Every time you stop, record how far you've come and work out how much distance you still have ahead of you. So that's it on how to read a map. I've yet to actually have to use one. I thought about getting one just so that I could have the skill navigating using a map. But anyway, thanks.